Hello everybody. I'm really happy to be here today because it's so inspiring to see that this struggle is a global struggle and it's so important to us. And I'm going to talk about what's happening in India because in India our struggle is a very intense one against nuclear power. And of course linked to that, as we've heard, you can't separate the two, nuclear weapons. In India, we've had in the last few years thousands of people arrested. We've had deaths, and we've had people charged with treason, with sedition, being anti-national. For what? For protesting against nuclear power plants set up in their own backyard. Now, if we think about these struggles, I'm just going to tell you very briefly about them. But before that, I just want to raise one question, which I think is the primary question over these issues. And that is, do we care about human life? Do we care about the future, our children's future, their children's future? Or do we care about profits by the big corporations? Because the Indian experience shows that that's what it's really about. It's about money being made by the multinational companies which set up these power stations, which run the services, and which carry on making money despite the fact that they're causing deaths. In India, we have struggles going on in a number of places, and I'm going to only just mention a few of them, the biggest ones perhaps. Well, firstly, there's been a long and very important struggle in the south of India in a place called Kudankulam. In Kudankulam, we've had fishermen, fisherwomen, the whole community lives on fishing. And it's also a tsunami-prone zone. You'd think that was the ideal place. The Indian government thinks it's an ideal place to set up a nuclear power plant. It's a tsunami-prone zone, it's an earthquake-prone zone, it's densely populated. There's hardly any safeguards. They've admitted these things themselves. It was sold to the Indian government by the Russian corporation Rosatom, one of its subsidiaries in fact. And the Russian scientists themselves said that it was faulty in a variety of ways, but the government has gone ahead. People are still resisting. They've been offered housing, which is supposedly safe. They refuse to move in there. So the struggle is continuing in Kudankulam. 2,000 people were arrested and charged with sedition. So protesting in India, which by the way, like Britain, we are being told this is another great democracy. But protesting is considered anti-national. The other big struggle which is going on now is in a place called Jaitapur, where the French company Areva, which we've heard about from earlier speakers, is trying to set up the biggest nuclear power plant in the world. There are enormous problems with Areva, as we've heard. But it's interesting to think about one other issue linked to these two. Why is it safe to set up a nuclear power plant in India if America doesn't set up nuclear power parks in America? Since 1974, there have been not a single nuclear power park set up in America. And yet we have them in India. As for Areva, one of the problems they ran into was that they could not provide safety. And this was partially at least the reason why they've been delayed in both France and Finland. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Meanwhile, the Indian government, which is run by Narendra Modi and which is a right-wing Hindu supremacist government, is locking up protesters right and left. We also have a power plant in Kovada, which is interesting because it's run by General Electric Hitachi. And then we have another one in Gujarat, which is run by Westinghouse. Now recently, as you might know, President Obama visited India. And one of the centerpiece of this was that there was this wonderful nuclear deal which had been signed. So what does that actually mean? What were the details of it? One of the most important details was that India, now if there's a nuclear accident in India, it's the people, the taxpayers of India who will pay for whatever happens, the consequences of this accident. The companies will not be liable. And this is shocking because, you know, General Electric, which was involved in Fukushima and which provided reactors which were found to be faulty, they got away scot-free. They didn't pay a penny for the consequences of Fukushima. So, but it looks like we haven't learned the lessons from Fukushima at all, at least not in India. The other aspect of the nuclear deal between Obama and India was that the victims, if there is an accident, the victims will not be allowed to sue in American courts. So bit by bit, all the dangers have been heaped upon the people of India. And what is this really for? Nuclear power really is about the unbridled power of the corporations. And I think if we consider that a bit more, it links up to a lot of things which the earlier speakers had said. What about depleted uranium? What about those millions of children in Iraq who are suffering as a result of that? What about the power of the corporations to do exactly what they like in our countries? All of these things have to be brought together. And really, at the end of the day, it's about our hearts and our heads, as earlier speakers have said, but it's also about people standing up to power, the power of big money. But that battle is being fought, and I think we'll have to win that.